was searching, your love was never far. You made a way to get to me. You were the whisper leading me to your heart. Forever I belong to you. Now I can see clearly, my God, you were for me. You won't let go. Your love won't let me down. And I know it's true. Yeah, I know it's your love is all around. I believe in you. Put it on to you. Put it on and I know you will never fail. I want all of you, you never change. Your love won't let me down. Love won't let me Love won't let me Right when I need you, you listen as I pray. You leave the 99 for me. You paint the skies with promises of your grace. So I will find my way to you. Now I can see clearly, my God, you are for me. You won't let go. Your love won't let me down. And I know it's true. Yeah, I know it's your love is all around. I believe in you. Put it on to you. Put it on and I know you will never fail. I want all of you, you never change. Your love won't let me down. Love won't let me Love won't let Love won't let Holding on, I know you will never fail. I want all of you, you never change. Your love won't let me down. Love won't let me.
Wow, that was an amazing way to kick off our Easter Sunday celebration. Welcome everyone to Life Central Church. My name's Leon.
My name's Andy, and happy Easter, everybody.
Yep. Woo.
Fantastic.
Hello,
It's
hello,
so-
anyone
I
there?
know, yeah.
Happy Easter.
There we go.
Fantastic. Brilliant. It is so good to welcome so many of you that are here. We had a lot of people here at the first service as well. If this is the first time you've been to this building, let me just help you with a bit of housekeeping. If you need the toilet, they're through those double doors and on the right, or there's double doors at the back and on the left. If you have babies or small children and they get a little bit unsettled, there's a parent baby overflow room over on my left and your right. You can head through there. You won't miss anything because the production is screened. If you do have children with you, I do need to ask you to keep them with you on those seats, okay? Don't let them wander around. The reason for that is that it's dark at various points of the production, and we don't want anyone tripping over, and people are coming in at various points and moments in the production as well.
Yeah, welcome to Reckless Love. We're going to explain the theme in a moment, but today is a very special Sunday. We're celebrating not only Easter Sunday and the resurrection of Jesus, but also today we launch Life Central Church in Rowley Regis. So we're now one church in 3 locations, which is fantastic. And a year ago, last Easter, we launched Hagley. So we're 1 year old in Life Central Hagley as well. Lots and lots to celebrate. And on your seat, you'll have had a Reckless Love flyer. You're really welcome to join us on any Sunday if you don't normally join us. And particularly, we want to encourage you to come back on the 15th of April, which is 2 weeks today. We have got a brand new teaching series starting called Seasons, which is all about the seasons of life we go through and how God can speak to us in each and every different season. It's going to be a great series. We'd love you to come back if you would like to join us for that. And at the end of the service, I just need to let you know we're not going to be serving refreshments, but to curb your disappointment, we are going to give you a small chocolate Easter egg on your way out. Don't get too excited, though. It's very small.
Very small. Great. So our theme is all about love. And Andy, you and I shared a mutual experience this week. I don't quite know where I'm going with this. But
it wasn't reckless love, I'll tell you that. One for free, mate.
We shared an anniversary this week, didn't we?
Both of our wedding anniversaries. Don't worry, we have separate wives.
Totally.
I'm going to move on. It was our 8th anniversary, and it was Leon's 100th wedding anniversary. And, you know, we're going to be doing a lot of songs this morning, and one of the most common themes in songs throughout history has been the theme of love.
It has, but then the thing is, when it comes to understanding love, the problem is in the English language, we only have one word for love. So I say I love chocolate, and I love my football team, and I love my wife, but obviously there are kind of different dimensions to that. Obviously the top of that list is my football team, not my wife, okay? So when it comes to understand God's love, it's difficult because we've only got one word, but we're going to open that up with you today.
Yeah, and to help us explore the theme of love and the theme of reckless love, we thought about all the different songs that there are. There's so many.
Andy, can I interrupt you there for a second, mate?
Yeah.
Because I think we're going about this wrong. I've been thinking about this during the weekend, listening to some songs, but all you need to do a love song, all you need is 4 chords, and that's it. You've made a love song.
Well, all the hundreds of love songs that have been written.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hundreds and hundreds.
Yeah,
there's only 4 chords.
Yeah. Chord 1, chord 5, chord 6, chord 1. Dead easy. That's all you need.
So any love song can be written using those.
4 chords.
You don't believe me, do you?
No, I don't believe you.
All right, can I have a go then?
Yeah,
Is that right?
Sure.
I heard this during the weekend. See if you recognise this one, yeah?
It's a tune. You know, anyone recognise that song?
Yeah.
So you're saying all of the songs, all 4 chords.
Yeah.
And you're going to prove it to us.
Yeah.
If you know
Take
the
it
song,
away, Sean.
if you know it, join in. Let's have a little bit of fun.
My life is brilliant. My love is pure. I saw an angel, of that I'm sure, and I won't hesitate no more, no more. It cannot wait. I'm yours. If I could, then I would. I'll go wherever you will go.
Can you feel the love tonight?
And she will be loved, and she will be loved.
I can't live with or without you.
And I'd be like, baby, 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 oh, like baby, 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 oh, like baby, 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 oh, like baby, 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 oh. We're soaring, we're flying. There's not a star in heaven that we can't reach. If we try it, oh, we're breaking free. Yeah, we're breaking free. Say my name when no one is around you. Say, baby, I love you. Any way you want it, that's the way you need it. Any way you want. Stand by your man. Give him 2 arms to cling to.
Take on me.
No woman, no cry.
Take me on.
No
that this is how you write songs. It may be quite simple, but now that it's done, it's done. It's done.
Amazing. Can I just say, yes, you are in church. Okay, let me just make that really clear. Guys, what an amazing job just to introduce the whole theme of love. Well, romantic love, anyway.
Yeah, and who knew Sean Griffiths could get that high as well?
Yeah, amazing, amazing.
Amazing. You know, Easter is the time where we remember the last few days of Jesus' life here on earth. And whether you believe it or not, there is a whole load of stories, but behind all of those stories, there's a bigger story behind, and it's a story of God's love, a story of God's never-ending, overwhelming, reckless love.
Absolutely. And Reckless Love is the title of a song that you're going to be hearing at the end of our time together. But you know, what we're going to do now is we're going to take you on a little bit of a historical and musical journey. And we're going to head back and we're going to, for the next 30 minutes or so, look at over the last 300 years at some songs that have been written to try and communicate this incredible story of love, this overwhelming, never-ending, reckless love of God. And some of the songs that you will be familiar to you, some of them are old hymns, some of them have kind of been given a bit of a newer treatment with some newer bits added in. Some, the guys are going to invite you to stand and sing with us, and others that you're going to just listen to. But we hope you really enjoy this and come with us on this journey over the last 300 years to discover a little bit more about this amazing, reckless love.
It's possibly the most famous hymn of all times. It's possibly the most sung of all times. It's called Amazing Grace. What you might not know is that there's an interesting story behind the writings of this hymn. John Newton lived in the 18th century. He didn't grow up religious at all, but as a young man being conscripted to the Navy. He later on became actively involved in the slave trade, transporting people in chains across oceans. Then one night at sea, during a huge storm, he cried out to God for mercy. After that, his life began to change. He left his old life and began a new life as a parish priest. Not only that, but he became a spiritual mentor to a young MP called William Wilberforce, who went on to take a leading role to the abolition of slavery. When Newton wrote, "I once was lost, but now am found," he knew what he was talking about, because he had experienced the overwhelming, never-ending, reckless love of God. And he called it Amazing Grace.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see. Shall we stand together and sing this great hymn, Amazing Grace? Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see. Oh, 'twas grace. 'Twas grace. chains are gone. I've been set free. My God, my Savior has ransomed me. And like a flood, His mercy reigns. Unending love, amazing grace. Oh, amazing grace. Thank you, Jesus. The Lord has promised good to me. His word, my hope, secures. He will my shield and portion be. As long as life endures, my chains are gone. I've been set free. My God, my Savior has ransomed me. And like a flood, His mercy reigns. Unending love, amazing grace. My chains are gone. I'm set free. My God, my Savior has ransomed me. And like a flood, His mercy reigns. Unending love, amazing grace. The earth shall soon dissolve like snow. The sun forbear to shine, but God who called me below will be forever mine, will be forever mine. Oh, you are forever mine. Yeah.
For hundreds of years now, people have told the story of God's magnificent love for mankind expressed at Easter. People have built great buildings, churches like this one, built magnificent structures, statues, stained glass windows, all trying to stress the glory and majesty of God. Within these buildings, hymns have been sung throughout the ages, telling of the love of God. One of the most famous hymns is Crown Him with Many Crowns. Originally, this hymn had 12 verses. The language is somewhat old-fashioned to us now, but at the heart of this hymn is the glory of God and the depth and overwhelming, never-ending, reckless even, love of God. And our response to this love just has to be one of worship.
Please, if you're able to, why don't you stand with us and sing? Crown him with many crowns, the Lamb upon his throne. Hark how the heavenly anthem drowns all music but its song. Awake my soul and sing, our died and rose on high, who died eternal life to bring, and lives that death may die. Majesty, Lord of all, let every throne before him fall. The King of Kings, oh come adore our God who reigns forevermore. All hail Redeemer, for he has died for me. His praise and glory shall not fail throughout eternity. All hail Redeemer, for he has died for me. His praise and glory shall not fail throughout eternity. Majesty, Lord of all, let every throne before him fall. The King of Kings, oh come adore our God who reigns forevermore. Majesty, Lord of all, let every throne before him fall. The King of Kings, oh come adore our God who reigns forevermore. Our God who reigns forevermore. You're the God who reigns forevermore. Please take your seats.
During the 20th century, Wales was a troubled place. But in 1904, it began to experience what can only be called as a revival. During that year, 100,000 people became followers of Jesus. Police had reported that crime levels had dropped, drunkenness had dropped, marriages were restored, hope had come into the community, darkness had begun to lift. People said it was as if heaven had come to earth. And during that time, there was many hymns that were sung throughout the chapels in Wales, and one of them described beautifully the overwhelming, never-ending, reckless love of God that was demonstrated by Jesus by what he did on the cross at that time that we call Easter. It was as if God had come and said, here is love, vast as the ocean, loving kindness as the flood.
If you'd like to stand, we're going to sing this song together. Here is love as the ocean, loving kindness as the flood. When the Prince of Life, our ransom, shed for us his precious blood, who his love a guilty world in love. Oh, amazing love. Oh, amazing love. My heart will sing of all you've done forever. Let me all thy love accepting, love thee ever all my days. Let me seek thy kingdom only, and my life be to thy praise. Thou alone shall be my glory, and nothing in the world I see. Thou hast cleansed and sanctified me. Thou thyself have set me free. Oh, amazing love. Oh, amazing love. My heart will sing of all you've done forever. Oh, amazing love. What a wonderful love. My heart will sing of all you've done forever. Here is love vast as the ocean, loving kindness as the flood. When the Prince of Life, our ransom, shed for us his precious blood. If you'd like to take your seats.
One of the most recognizable musical styles is gospel music. Traced back to the early 17th century, to the American South, where people who were held by chains would use music to put a voice to their hope for freedom and for justice. These songs would often have a great deal of repetition and would be sung as call and answer songs, sung a cappella, but usually accompanied by lots of clapping of hands and stomping of feet. Probably the most famous gospel song was originally a hymn, but when gospel got a hold of it, it took off into the charts across the world and it's been used in countless movies, such as Sister Act. At its heart, this song is about a day. It's about a day that changes everything. It's about a day when the overwhelming, the never-ending, the reckless love of God enters a person's life and they're changed forever. And that day is a happy day.
Oh, happy day. Oh, happy day. Oh, happy day. Oh, happy day. When Jesus washed. When Jesus washed. When Jesus washed. When Jesus washed. When my Jesus washed. When Jesus washed.
seem to understand grace. It's like it doesn't make sense, or like it's illogical to our brain, and yet we are somewhat fascinated by grace. Stormzy is an international grime artist, and he actually grew up in the church. And although we wouldn't necessarily endorse many of his songs, we recognise the longing in them. And his most famous song, Blinded by Your Grace, is amazing. Stormzy himself said this: one of the things that I'm most impressed by in God is the grace that he has, that no matter what we do, there's always this. Okay, it's fine, I understand. But that's not to say that I can go out and do something bad, but it's knowing that somebody's got me in everything. They're not going to judge me, but instead understand my situation. That's grace. And what we see here in the Easter story is grace in action. It's the overwhelming, never-ending, reckless love of God. And when we get it, when we see it, we are blinded by this amazing grace.
Blinded by your grace. I'm blinded by your grace, by your grace. I'm blinded by your grace. I'm blinded by your, Lord, I've been broken. Although I'm not worthy, you fixed me. I'm blinded by your grace. You came and saved me. Lord, I've been broken, although I'm not worthy. You fixed me, now I'm blinded by your grace. You came and saved me.
One time for the Lord, one time for the cause. One round of applause, one time for Mr. Sean Griff on the courts. I feel I got one. I stay prayed up, then they get the job done. Cause I'm old wings you, but I'm God's son. But I'm up now, look at what God's done. Now real talk, look at what God did. I'm the mainstay saying I'm God's kid. Phone jail, then they're telling that we got this. This is God's plan, they could never stop this. Like, wait right there, could you stop my verse? You saved this kid, but I'm not your first. It's not bad blow, but it's not about birth. But oh my gosh, what a God I serve.
Lord, I've been broken, although I'm not worthy. Blinded by your grace, you came and saved me. Lord, I've been broken, although I'm not worthy. You fixed me, now I'm blinded by your grace. You came and saved me.
I said a prayer this morning. I prayed I would find a way to another day. I was so afraid till you came and saved. You came and saved me. And the rain was pouring, cause the sun faded away. Now I'm in a better place, no longer afraid, blinded by your grace. You came and saved me. Said a prayer this morning. I prayed I would find a way to another day. I was so afraid till you came and saved.
You came and saved me.
And the rain was pouring till the sun faded away. Now I'm in a better place, no longer afraid, blinded by your grace.
You came and saved me. Lord, I've been broken, although I'm not worthy. You fixed me. I'm blinded by your grace. You came and saved me. Lord, I've been broken, although I'm not worthy. You fixed me. Now I'm blinded by your grace. You came and saved me.
Wow, your applause says what you thought about that. That was amazing, wasn't it? This musical journey over the last 300 years. And all the way through that is this theme of love coming out. You know, right at the start of our time together, Andy and I talked about our wedding anniversary. And he's right, he's 8 and I'm 29 years. I've been married this year. That's amazing. I worked out that me and Alison, my wife, have been together this summer for 36 years. That's what happens when you date when you're 4. Okay, no, I wasn't. I really wasn't. That's wrong at every level. But, you know, as I was thinking about it this week, and how do you tell the story of a love that long, okay? And I was thinking of maybe those highlight moments, the first connection that we ever had. We met on a youth camp in different churches, and I was 15 and Alison was 14 when we first met. And apparently, she used to like me. I mean, why wouldn't you? I get that. And I didn't quite see her that way at the time. Although, as we were coming out of the dining room and walking across the courtyard, it started to rain. And I took my coat off, Harrington bomber jacket. You remember those? Some of you haven't got a clue what that was. And I put my coat over her head to shield her from the rain. It was better than that. I put my coat, thank you. Thing is, it didn't kind of go to plan, because I said, hey, Alison, you can have this coat. And I gave her the coat, and I went off with another girl. But the following year, I came back and we connected, and the rest is history. And I think, how do you explain your story of love in the highlights? Is it that moment of your first connection, the first kiss, or you know, the proposal, the wedding, the first child, the first big argument? We haven't had one of those yet, but yeah, we probably have. We've had a lot, actually. But actually, you can't really tell the story of human love that easily. And then here's the thing. Even if you've got great human love going on, and I'm really grateful for the love that we've got, but that's so limited. Even great human love will never really fix us. Which brings me on to one of my favorite bands, Coldplay. And in 2005, they released a song, their most famous song, called Fix You. Chris Martin, the lead singer, his partner at the time, Gwyneth Paltrow, her father had died, and he was trying to help her, and he said to her, what can I do to help you? And she said, just hold me, your love will get me through. And out of that whole thing, he wrote this song, Fix You. But as great as the song is, and as well-intentioned as the sentiment is, can any human love really fix us? Because here's the sad thing, because they broke up. They split up a couple of years ago. Although they didn't split up, they called it a conscious uncoupling. Apparently that's what happens. Now, I don't want to judge them at all. Many of us in this room, or those of you watching or listening, you've been a part of a love that hasn't worked out, where there's been an uncoupling, where there's been a bit of a wreck maybe in that love. Because the reality is, no human love can ever really fix us or the issues going on inside of us. You see, that's where we've got to come and talk about a different kind of love. Not romantic human love, but the love that God has for us, expressed at Easter. And you might say, hang on, I don't believe in God. And that's okay. But billions of people on the planet believe in God. 2 billion of them believe in a God that we call Jesus. So before you dismiss it completely, could you hold your mind open to maybe 2 billion or so people may not be wrong, and maybe you could hold your mind open to the possibility that there might be a God. We might be wrong, but so might you as well. And if there is a God, what kind of love does that God have? One of the most famous stories or verses in the Bible is where it says this: God so loved the world that he felt an emotional feeling. No, it doesn't say that. God so loved the world that he wrote a romantic song with 4 chords. No, it doesn't say that. God so loved the world that he rapped, or he wrote a poem, or he painted a painting. No, God so loved the world, the Bible says, that he gave. You see, love is ultimately not a feeling or an emotion, but it's an action. God loved us so much that he gave. And he gave his best, and he gave of himself. This week, we've all been saddened again by TV stories about that hostage situation in France, where that French policeman, Arnaud Beltrame, swapped himself for a woman that was held hostage, and in the process lost his life. Apparently that guy, that police officer, was a man of faith who believed in this God that we're talking about called Jesus. But his brother said he gave his life for a stranger. He must have known he had no chance. If that doesn't make him a hero, I don't know what does. Heroic though that act was, what God did was on an even greater level than that. The Bible says it like this. This is how God showed his love for us. God sent his son into the world so that we might live through him. This is the kind of love we are talking about. Not that we once upon a time loved God, but that he loved us and sent his son as a sacrifice to clear away our sins and the damage they've done to our relationship with God. You see, romantic love, strong as it is, good as it is, important though it is, can never really fix us or the issues inside of us. That requires a love of another kind. That requires the love that we're calling today reckless love. You know, in that Stormzy song that the guys just did, and by the way, we don't endorse Stormzy, we don't endorse his songs, we don't endorse his language, we don't endorse his lifestyle, but we are big enough and secure enough to recognize the longing. And in that song, it's the incredible song, and there's a great line, Lord, I've been broken, although I'm not worthy, you fixed me. I'm blinded by your grace. And we believe that to be true. And just in the last few minutes I've got, before we do something else, I want to explain to you why the love of God is the only love that can truly fix us. Let me just give you 4 quick things to think about. Firstly, it's a love that does what we can never do. And I want to use the Coldplay lyrics for a moment from Fix You. The opening line says, when you try your best, but you don't succeed. Anyone ever felt like that in life? We try your best, but you don't succeed. And when it comes to God, we can think that we need to try our best and then God will receive us. We need to try and do good things or be religious or at least not be bad. But here's the thing. The love of God is a love that does what we can never do, which is to make us right with God. Bible puts it this way. God saved you by his grace when you believe. And you can't take credit for it. It's a gift from God. Secondly, it's a love that meets our deepest needs and desires. Fix You says, when you get what you want, but not what you need. What we need is we need unconditional love. We need approval. We need that acceptance. We need purpose. We need meaning. We need security. But what we do is we run around trying to chase all the things we want, but not what we really need. And we climb the ladder as high as we can, and we recognize then, it's leaning against the wrong building. But the love of God is a love that can fix us because it gives us what we need, not just what we want. And then the 4th thing is this. I think the love of God is a love that's so strong because it covers all the dimensions of life, past, present, and future. Again, in Fix You, it says, when you feel so tired that you just can't sleep. What I love about God's love in my own life is that it deals with things from my past, but it also is present in my moment, in my anxiety, in my stress, in my worry. God's love is there. But it also covers the future, the fears for what might be tomorrow. Horatio Spafford was a hymn writer hundreds of years ago, and tragically his family went on a boat from America to England, and many of his daughters were lost at sea. They died. And as his ship then came and he went to England to be with the wife and the surviving daughter, I think he lost about 4 daughters, as he was passing the bit in the ocean where his daughters had died, God gave him this hymn, and he wrote this hymn, and the chorus says, it is well with my soul. That's the love of another kind, isn't it? To know that life's a mess right now, but on the inside, there's a love that meets my deepest needs and my deepest fears. And finally, the love of God is a love that will fix you because it's a love that wins. It's a love that wins. One of the great lyrics in the Coldplay song, lights will guide you home. You know, as I get older, I realize how short life is. You know, but life is short, but eternity is incredibly long. Decisions we make now will affect the eternity that we get to live. It's a love that ultimately wins. The love of God wins against all the enemies there is, fear and hate, pain, injustice, betrayal, and sorrow. And the resurrection of Christ is the proof that God will always get the final words. Amen? It's a love that wins. And ultimately, it's a love that will guide us home to eternity. Lee Strobel is an American guy who was a lawyer. He was trained in law. And then he became a legal journalist. But he was a committed atheist as an adult. And he was married, and one day his wife came home on Sunday. She'd been out, and he didn't know where she was. And she sat down at the dining room table, and she said, "Darling, I need to tell you something." He said, "What?" She says, "I've been going to church these last few weeks, and I've become a Christian." And Lee Strobel said he was devastated because he was a committed atheist. So he decided to go to the church and to check it out. And then he decided to go and to investigate and use his legal journalistic skills to dismantle Christianity and prove to his wife that she was wrong. But as he looked at the facts, as he looked at the evidence, as he journeyed through and he discovered the reckless, overwhelming love of God, this is what he wrote. "In the end, after I'd thoroughly investigated the matter, I reached an unexpected conclusion. It would actually take more faith to maintain my atheism than to become a follower of Jesus. That's why I'm now celebrating my 30th Easter as a Christian. Not because of wishful thinking, the fear of death, or the need for a psychological crutch, but because of the facts." You see, we want you to know, guys, on this Easter Sunday 2018, there is a love that convicts you. It's not a romantic love. It's the love of God demonstrated in one person, Jesus.
When you try your best but you don't succeed, when you get what you want but not what you need, when you feel so tired that you can't sleep, stuck in reverse, and the tears come streaming down your face, when you lose something you can't replace, when you love someone but it goes to waste, could it be worse? In lights will guide you home, oh, and ignite your bones, and I will try to fix you. Oh, high up above but down below, when you're too in love to let it go. But if you never try, then you'll never know just what you're worth. In lights will guide you home and ignite your bones, and I will try to fix you.
So why have we called this reckless love? What's this whole reckless love about? And I'm really aware this morning that there may be some of you here in the room, or those of you watching or listening, and maybe right now you say, actually, I've got a love that's wrecking me. Maybe you've been through a broken relationship. Maybe you're going through that right now. What is this reckless love that we're talking about? Well, in a moment, you're going to hear this song, Reckless Love. It's written by a guy called Corey Asbury in America. And he was asked, why did you call it reckless? When you come to think about God, why would you use the word reckless? And I want to read to you what he said, because I can't say it any better than he can. These are his words, not mine. He said this: many have asked for clarity on the phrase reckless love. Many have wondered why I'd use a negative word to describe God. Well, I've taken some time to write out my thoughts, and I hope it brings answers to your questions. But more than that, I hope it brings you into encounter with the wildness of his love. When I use the phrase, the reckless love of God, I'm not saying that God himself is reckless. I am, however, saying that the way he loves is in many ways quite so. What I mean is this: he is utterly unconcerned with the consequences of his actions with regards to his own safety, comfort, or well-being. His love isn't crafty or slick. It's not cunning or shrewd. In fact, it's quite childlike, and might I even suggest, seems sometimes downright ridiculous. His love bankrupted heaven for you. His love doesn't consider himself first. It isn't selfish or self-serving. He doesn't wonder what he'll gain or lose by putting himself out there. He simply gives himself away on the off chance that one of us might look back at him and offer ourselves in return. His love leaves the 99 to find the one every time. His love isn't cautious. It's a love that sent his own son to die a gruesome death on the cross. There's no plan B with the love of God. He gives his heart so completely, so preposterously, that if refused, most will consider it irreparably broken. Yet he gives himself away again and again and again and again. The recklessness of his love is most clearly seen in this. Make no mistake, our sin pains his heart, yet he opens up and allows us in every time. His love saw you when you hated him. When all logic said they'll reject me, he said, I don't care if it kills me. I'm laying my love out for them. And then the writer said this: to get personal, his love saw me, a broken down kid with regret as deep as the ocean, my innocence and youth poured out like water. Yet he saw fit to use me for his kingdom because he's just that kind. I didn't earn it, and I sure as heck don't deserve it, but he's just that good. Oh, the overwhelming, never-ending, reckless love of God. I want you to know today, on Easter Sunday 2018, you can know this love too. And you know, if you're a Christian this morning, then I want to encourage you today on Easter Sunday to thank God for the reckless love of God that's touched your heart. I became a Christian. I first said yes to God when I was 15. It was a long time ago now. I never want to get over what I felt like then. I never want to get past that sense of, God, you love me so much. You poured out your love for me. So if you're a Christian, thank God for it this morning. But it may be that you're considering it. We've got lots of people in the church that aren't Christians who are on a journey, and we love that. Journey with us as long as you like. Maybe you're considering it. Maybe you could say a big yes to God today. Maybe today on Easter Sunday, you could say a big yes. You could say, God, I'm in. Maybe you're considering it, but maybe you're not quite ready for a big yes. Maybe you're more curious than considering. Could you say a little yes to God today? I get it, not the full thing, but a little yes to God. Or maybe what we call here a healthy maybe. To say, hey, I'm not ready to go fully in, but I want to know more. And maybe you could do that today. So if you're a Christian, can you thank God for this love today? But if you're considering it or you're curious, Maybe you could say a big yes, or maybe even a little yes to God today. And I want to give you a moment to do that today. So can we just bow our heads maybe for a moment? And all the way here, right at the back, and I can see you, and more importantly, God can see you as well. And so while we're just closing our eyes just for a moment, I would love to pray for some of you today. Maybe some of you are ready to say a big yes to God. Or if you're not ready, maybe you say, but I want to say a small yes. I'm not ready to go full in, but I want to say a small yes. Or maybe just a healthy maybe, and take a step towards Him. Then I want to give you an opportunity to do that today. So if there is anyone here, I want you to respond to Him by just slipping up your hand very quickly. I'll see it, and then you can put it down, and then I want to pray for you. So is there anyone today, and you want to say a big or a little yes to God on Easter Sunday? Just pop your hand up and pray. Thank you. Anybody else? Thank you. Right at the back. Thank you at the back. Thank you so much. You're just taking that step and saying yes to God. Is there anyone else before I pray? Thank you. Guys, thank you so much. Father, thank you for your incredible love for us. And God, as people have now taken steps towards you, maybe little steps or big steps, little yeses or big yeses, God, I pray that you would be already on your way to them. You'll leave the 99 and you'll head to them. God, may they know that you love them. Touch them with your love and with your grace, I pray. In Jesus' name, amen. Amen. You know, if you did pray that prayer, we'd love to chat to you. You can chat to someone you came with, or on the way out, there's some literature there called Why Easter on the connection point there. We'd love you to take one of them. It's free. And we'd love you to come back as well. But we're going to invite you all to do one final thing. On your seat, thanks, Sandy, was also one of these pieces of card with reckless love and a heart on it. And a verse from the Bible, God's love has been poured out into our hearts through the Holy Spirit who's been given to us. And what we want to do is a way of finishing our Easter Sunday service together, our production together, is we want to invite all of you to respond if you want to do that. And so if you're a Christian, just to say, I want to thank God for this incredible love that's touched my life. And all you need to do is just to, during this song, just to come whenever you feel you want to, and just to pop it in this cage like this. This was full of these at the first service. It was so moving to see little ones running out there and older people coming out and just popping it in the cage, just to identify with what God has done. But maybe you're not yet a Christian, but you're taking a step and you're saying, I want to be touched by this incredible love of God. I want to know that in my own life. Then we'd love you to be part of this response as well. So why don't we stand together? And Gemma and the team are going to lead us in this song, which is where we've been heading all morning, this song called Reckless Love. And then at any point, if you want to respond and be part of this, then you can do that. Please don't all 420 or so of you come at the same time, because we'll have a train wreck then, okay? But if you could come when you're ready and just pop those things in that cage as we sing this incredible song together. When you pick it up, please join in with us. And just want to encourage you, if you know this is true, open up your hearts and your lives and let's celebrate who God is today. So there it is. So it'd be great if you wanted to respond whenever you want to do that.
Spoke a word, you were singing over me. You have been so, so good to me. Before I took a breath, you breathed your life in me. You have been so, so kind. you won't climb up, coming after me. There's no walls you won't kick down, lie you won't tear down, coming after me. There's no shadow you won't light up, mountain you won't climb up, coming after me. There's no wall you won't kick down, lie you won't tear down, coming after me. There's no shadow you won't light up, mountain you won't climb up, coming after me. Thank you, Lord. There's no wall you won't kick down, lies you won't tear down, coming after me. There's no shadow you won't light up, mountain you won't climb up, coming after me. There's no wall you won't kick down, lies you won't tear down, coming after me. Overwhelming, never-ending, reckless love of God. Oh, it chases me down, fights till I'm found, leaves the 99. No, I could hurt it, I don't deserve it, still you give yourself away. Overwhelming, never-ending, reckless love of There's no shadow you won't light up, mountain you won't climb up, coming after me. There's no wall you won't kick down, lie you won't tear down, coming after me. There's no shadow you won't light up, mountain you won't climb up, coming after me. No. There's no wall you won't kick down, lie you won't tear down, coming after me. Overwhelming, never-ending, reckless love of God. Oh, it chases me down, fights till I'm found, leaves the 99. No, I could hurt it, I don't deserve it, still you give yourself away. Oh, the overwhelming, never-ending, reckless love of God.
It's very powerful to me to see that image there. So many lives, that's what we're talking about there, touched or wanting to be touched by this incredible love of God. You know, I had a thought at the first service, and I feel to share it again now, that maybe there are some of you here today, and for you, your experience with God is past, and you have had an experience with God. You do believe in God, but what you've done is you've almost kind of left Him. You've pushed Him aside. You've allowed stuff to get so all-consuming for you and busy, and so you know God exists, but it's like you've parked Him. And here's the thing. If you turn towards Him, He's already running to you. There's a story in the Bible called the prodigal son, where the son leaves the house and the father desperately wants to chase him but can't. He just lets him go, but he waits for him to return. And I just felt God wanted to say to some of you today, if that's you and you've been away from God, don't wait a moment longer, come home. And don't think that He's going to tell you off and say, where have you been and how could you do this and how could you do that. All He'll do is wrap His arms around you and love you, because that's who He is. We're going to finish by singing another song together, and this is our final song. And as we sing this song, we're going to do a couple of things. We're going to take our offering as part of what we do every week. This is what we do as a church, just to give back to God. If you're a guest this morning, We don't want your money, okay? We're so glad you're here, so don't feel under any pressure. But this is what we do every week as a way of giving back to God. And then afterwards, Andy's going to come and close our time together. On the way out there, as you head out there, you can pick up the chocolate. You also, if you've never been here before, we have a gift bag we'd love to give you. So if you look out for the hostess out there who've got the gift bags, they'd love to let you have that. And also, if you want to pick up one of those leaflets, a little booklet called Why Easter, they're completely free. Take it with you and read it over the Easter weekend. You know, this song, we sing this song a lot here at the church, and I want to encourage all of you that know it to really use it to let your praise ring out this morning. This song tells the whole story of Easter in one song. What happened on the cross, what happened on the tomb, and what's going to happen in the future. And this has got to release something inside of us on Easter Sunday where we want to lift our voice and say, oh, praise the name. We're going to do that this morning, aren't we? Let's do it.
Calvary, where Jesus bled and died for me. I see his wounds, his hands, his feet, my Savior on that cursed tree. His body bound and drenched in tears, they laid him down in Joseph's tomb. The entrance sealed by heavy stone, Messiah still and all alone. Come on, if you believe it in this place, sing out. Oh, praise the name of the Lord our God. Oh, praise his name forevermore. For endless days we will sing your praise. Oh Lord our God. Let's declare it on the first. Then on the first at break of dawn, the Son of Heaven rose again. Oh, tremble death, where is your sting? The angels roar for Christ the King. For Christ the King. Oh, praise the name of the Lord our God. Oh, praise his name forevermore. For endless days we will sing your praise. Oh Lord our God. He shall return in robes of white. The blazing sun shall pierce the night, and I will rise among the saints, my gaze transfixed on Jesus' face. We worship you, oh God. In this place, we give you praise. We give you praise. We'll sing your praise.
Incredible. What an amazing way to celebrate Easter Sunday. Please join me in thanking the band and the singers and the dancers. Our tech team have been phenomenal. Our hosting team, there's so many people that have worked so hard. It's been a fantastic morning. Thank you so much for being with us. We have got to go over to Hagley now this afternoon. We're performing this again. If you do want to join us or you want to invite somebody, then you can go on our website, pick up a free ticket and come along this afternoon at Haybridge High School in Hagley. You'd be really welcome as well to join us again in 2 weeks' time for the launch of our Seasons series. You know, this reckless love doesn't just stand on Easter Sunday. It stands through every season in life that we go through. We would love you to join us for that. On your way out, there is chocolate eggs. Please feel free to grab some. Kids, grab a whole load, fill your pockets. Just make sure there's loads for everybody. Have a fantastic rest of your Sunday, and we'll see you again soon.
This is my story.